lucky we have running water, clean clothes, working bathrooms, and an education, just to name a few things that we should be grateful for. But not everyone can have such a nice life. All over the world, there are developing areas that have almost none of the amenities we do. People in the Industrial Revolution and Kibera moved from their homes to create better lives for themselves and their families. The Kiberians are in a slum without immediate access to the basic necessities. The people of the Industrial Revolution had similar problems. This shows us that there is a need for urbanization in many places throughout the world.
Kibera is an unofficial colony, and the government owns all of the land. So that means people can be evicted for no reason at any time. Usually houses are made with tin as roof, mud for walls, and dirt for floor. They tend to house up to 8 people. Only about 20% of Kiberian houses have electricity, but streetlights are provided by organizations. Drugs and alcohol are common with the big population. Most people tend to drink the incorrectly made alcohol from a cheap, nearby brewery. The alcohol is called changa. This leads to more crime, rapes, violence, and abortion. Many children resort to glue sniffing in their free time, which gives them the same results nicotine would. Education in Kibera is very limited. Children would end school at around the ages of 13 because most families can no longer afford to pay for their children's education. Many people will end up like their parents, especially if education is not mandatory or free. Motivation is another struggle in the daily life of a slum dweller.
Most people in Kibera get less than $1 per day, and the people now staying in the Kibera, they have to pay the house rent, and at least they also have to have something to put on the table. And you'll find that most of these people cannot afford now buying water. So you'll find most of the women and also children just fetching water, which is just from the sewage, and which is health hazard to them.
Kibera, a huge problem that they struggle with is water sanitation. Since they don't have access to proper toilets or baths, they will bathe themselves in the gutters or rivers. The problem, though, is that they will later drink that water. Kibera's people drink the water usually straight out the gutter or the faucet from the river, whether it is clean or not. They also use a system called a flying toilet, which is where they go to the bathroom in a plastic bag and then toss it into the streets. These bad bathroom habits lead to many infectious diseases, and with the cramped quarters of the huts, illness spreads easily.
Tenements were dangerous places to live. They were unstable and unsanitary. Many tenements connect to the living conditions of Kibera. There were 32,390 tenement houses in New York on December 1st, 1888. The number of arrests for drunkenness and minor crimes in 1889 was 29,234. The tenements were poorly planned out in case of emergency. The fire escapes were weak and rickety, while hallways were narrow and rooms were overstuffed. Disease spread like wildfire because of cramped conditions. Some of the most common non-water transmitted diseases were typhus, smallpox, and the greatest killer of them all, tuberculosis. Education in the Industrial Revolution was available to almost everyone. It became available to everyone in the 1800s. Even the poorest people were provided with the basic education they deserved. Before the 1800s, education was not free, so poor children were not provided with the proper education, similar to the children in Kibera. Women had it hard in the Industrial Revolution. They had to care for many children, cook, and clean. Many women worked in factories and were treated poorly. Some women didn't have access to an education. Therefore, they suffered and could not help build a city and help America become what it is today.
People of the Industrial Revolution and Kibera moved from their homes to create better lives for themselves and their families. The Kiberians are in a slum without immediate access to basic necessities. the people of the Industrial Revolution had similar problems. This shows us that there is a need for urbanization in many places throughout the world. The public needs to be informed of the need for faster urbanization in the areas such as Kibera. If we all take action, we can make a change. The Industrial Revolution started out with many of the same problems as Kibera, and everyone had a reason and the resources to develop. Kibera has many problems, and if we all work together to give them the resources and motivation they need to develop, we can help put a damper on poverty and make the world a better place.